Morning everybody, Camperholics here again. Long time since we've done a video, but with all this corona going around the place, we've sort of stayed put, and we keep thinking, oh, we'll get away next weekend and we'll get away next weekend, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately we haven't been able to do that because of this, so we thought it's best to stay at home and only go out for work and a bit of shopping. So can't wait to get back on the road. But even though we're in sunny Spain, we've had a lot of rain the last 2 days. The sun's out again today, but we've got a problem. I need to pick this up. Hopefully, if I come over there, around our air, yeah, you can see that. Around the air conditioning, we've had some water come in. And it's, I think the problem's at the back of the air conditioning unit. There's a little bit at the front, but I think that's just tracked through. Also, a second leak in this cupboard above the extractor here. The flue goes up through the. Oh no, I've got some. Look, I've got some Swiss rolls there. In this box here, there's the plastic flue pipe that goes up out through the roof. Now that's leaked before, and I thought I'd sorted it out. And what it done, it comes along the top of this cupboard. And if you can see up there, that watermark. I mean, the good thing is these come off really easily. This, I don't know what they've put on this roof, on this ceiling, but it does clean up well. I'll show you on the roof in a minute. The little mushroom for the extractor is rubbish. It sits too low down. And the problem, there is a problem with this design of putting this air conditioning unit right in the middle of the roof like this. It's heavy. And what there is around that air conditioning unit, we get a little puddle of water. It's fine if you're driving, it's fine if you're parked on a hill, because the water obviously just runs off. But if you park the motorhome dead level, which is pretty much how you want it obviously, we get a puddle of water around that air conditioning unit, and that's, I think, how it's come in. But as in solving the problem, I can re-silicone that, seal it up, so it doesn't come in. But stopping that puddle, I think, is pretty impossible, because how do I prop the how do I lift the roof up? If anyone's got any suggestions, and I've already come up with a dancing pole, but I've got told no to that. So obviously I can't lift it up from the outside. A sky hook maybe. Anyway, I'm going to show you on the roof, and you'll see the problem that we've got, and then I'll go through taking this air conditioner out, and for someone else might have the same problem. And I'll show you this little mushroom thing for the I'll think of it in a minute, for the extractor. I'm actually going to get another bit of, if I'm going to call it a mushroom thing, which actually stands a couple of inches up off the roof, whereas this one sits nearly flush, and it's got a tiny little drainage hole, so if any water goes in there with dust or anything like that, they just get clogged up in one downpour, which useless. So I'm going to get one of those. I think they're about €5 or something plus the carriage, so it's not worth mucking around with. You know, it's a lot easier than keep taking it off and sealing it up. So that's what we're going to do. I'll see you in a minute on the roof. Right, we're up on the top now, well, on a ladder anyway. Now this is the air conditioning unit. Needs a coat of paint, and if you look here, and the problem I've got this checker plate with a solar panel on it. As you can see, this rain that we've had, look at the dust that came down on it. Comes from the Sahara. So this checker plate, the water's coming forward and hitting this and stopping. Now the only place you can get round, over on that end, there's quite a big gap. Alright, and then over this side, there's this little tiny channel that it can get through. So with, you can't see a massive dip, but there's a tiny dip in this roof, because this is quite a heavy unit. And that's what's causing this. You can see it here, look. It's not a lot, but it doesn't need a lot. So I'm going to take this off today and clean the roof off and re-silicone that down. Now, this is the other thing. Any rain goes in through here. And if you can see, just in there, there's these little tiny grooves or slots that any water that goes in the rain can that's where it's supposed to come out of, down there. But this, you can see this dome sort of fits pretty flush, whereas the other one I've seen, the actual pipe itself sticks up about 2 or 3 inches from the roof up before you get to this bit, and with a, you know, it's got a like a collar that goes round to seal down against the roof. So that's probably what I'm going to get. So the rain comes down, it hits this, it goes in here, and there's one set of holes there, one over here and one down there, but they're so tiny. I mean, you can see, I mean, my finger's about as wide as 5 of those little holes, so it's only 2 fingers wide really. And yeah, not a lot of good, not a lot of good. So that's the plan for today. We'll try and get it sorted out, and then wash this solar panel off, and hopefully we'll get a bit more wash it. And I'm going to reseal all of this along here. I'm going to reseal this because this is a little bit cracked now. Oh, it's still flexible, but you know, it only takes 1 pinhole, as you all know, I expect, and the water will find its way in. I mean, there's a little bit of water laying around that roof hatch there, but by drone, I'll get it out in a minute. Bone dry, no problems. You expect a little bit, you know. It's a big flat area, and also at the back, you know, there's, I mean, the amount of holes that's cut in the roof is a bit ridiculous. There's the bedroom one there. This is the one in like the middle of the hallway, or if you adjust the door, it's in the middle of the bathroom. There's another one over there in the toilet. There's this air conditioning. There's a solar panel. There's this roof light in the lounge. There's that roof light above the drop down bed in the front. Bit unnecessary really, because the more holes you cut in that, the more strength you're taking out of it, or there can't be any strengtheners in the roof in those places because of the holes they're cutting. But right, we go downstairs, get the cover off, which is pretty simple. And I'm just hoping that the bolts, because this is clamped, the roof's about this thick, I don't know, 1.5 inches, and the air conditioning sits on a roof on a bed of silicone, and then there's these big long metal plates inside that have a bolt go through into the air conditioning unit, and it just clamps it down to the roof. Hopefully they'll come undone okay. They're Allen bolts, so with a bit of luck we won't have to get the grinder out. Right, so you're back downstairs. Right, hopefully you can see this okay here. Removal, these 2 grey sides slide out, he says. We better get it straight. There we go, one of them off. Then you've got your filters. I'll keep them nice and clean. And they just ping out from behind some little clips in there. Get the other side off. Like that. And the filters off. I'm just going to turn television off. I'm fed up with President Trump going, it's not fair, it's not fair. Now, up in here, you will see there's 1, oh, it's a different bolt there, 2, and there's 2 this side that hold this unit on, and then you can just unplug that, which I'll show you in a minute, and then if you look there, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those are the ones on this bracket that clamp that unit down to the roof. And I can see plenty of silicone in there. But like we said, it only wants a pinhole, and it'll come through. I'm just going to go and get my Allen Wicker keys. Right, 2 things. I've got all the bracketry off inside. I'm falling off the ladder. I've got the brackets off the inside. I should have done this once I got up here. And I've drilled out the clips, if you like, clips, lugs, whatever you want to call them, that hold this lid onto the air conditioner. And one thing I've noticed, where this is fitted to the roof, it's really flush, and under there, I think that's just a bit of rivet I've got. This is really low down. I mean, that's probably at 3mm above the roof here. Now, if we're getting a puddle here, it doesn't take long for it to get in there. And obviously that's no good. Now, I can either, obviously this is where it's keeping it cool and all the rest of it, the motor. So I can either try and put something on here to build that up, but I don't know how well I'm going to get that sealed, and that could be an awful lot of work for nothing. And here also, now the machine itself, the hole for the roof doesn't start until it's here, and it looks like the water from inside has come in at the back. So I'm going to have a look inside here now and see if there's a lip that it would have to get over first and how tall it is. So if not, I'm going to make a piece up that the actual unit itself sits up off the roof, because the bolts inside that go through the clamps are about, oh, they must be 6 inches long, obviously to allow for different thicknesses of roof or different applications, let's say. So that's what I'm going to do. Where it's actually silicone to the roof itself, I can't move it, so I think that isn't where it's coming from. I think it's coming from in here, and it's the same the other side. But hang on, let me stick you on here for a minute in this tripod whilst I get up on the roof here. Just going to jump up in here. Well, no, I'm just going to climb up now. And all the birds here in Spain, the feathered variety, right, we've got bird boxes up in the trees and God knows what, but they don't seem to want to use them. I don't know why, but lo and behold, if you look in there, they've come through that vent. Let me take this out of the way. Put that down there. They've gone through this vent this side and made a bloody great bird's nest. And this is absolutely full up of rubbish, so I need to give this a good clean. But I can't see there. This here is wet. All this bird's nest is wet. So I'm wondering if the water is getting in somewhere through the back of this box. We'll have to have a look. I'll come back on the camera and do a bit more in a minute. I mean, this silicone, I mean, look, you can see the amount of silicone that's around it. So now here, there's the inside. That's a hole down there into the motorhome. So it shouldn't interfere. I mean, it would have to come, the water would have to be up to the bottom of that slot, and it doesn't come up anywhere near that far, that slot for that cable. And there's one the other side, there's nothing in them. So I'm wondering whether just to bung these slots up. If you can see that, there's a slot there for a cable that obviously we haven't got, and there's one the other side that we haven't got. So maybe just fill them with silicone, or put a bit of plastic down in here and silicone the front, but I don't think it can possibly be getting that far over. The only other thing, there's where the compressor's bolted down here to this box, it might be getting around underneath here, and there's a bit it's a bit too limited. You can't get around underneath this inside bit. Maybe silicone in there. It's a bit of it's a typical one of my jobs where it could be half a dozen different things basically. So I'm going to go down now, get a knife, cut round underneath this, cut through this silicone that I don't actually think there's a problem with now, but now it's off and I've undone the clamps inside. Really I need to reseal it, and now I've come this far, it's pointless not doing it. But And the rest of it, alright, it's a bit grubby. This needs a wash, but we're living in a dusty environment here. On the inside's alright, look. But I'll take that down so it don't blow away. They probably want about 300 quid for that bit of polystyrene because it's moulded. But yeah, alright, I'll come back to it when I think I might have found it. And once I cut this off, I'll be able to see if any water's tracked through that silicone. But I honestly don't think it has now. I think the problem is where it's getting in through somewhere in here, maybe where that compressor's bolted down. I might have to take that off. But obviously it's all connected with pipes and God knows what, so I'm not quite sure how that comes apart. I don't really, well, I've got a friend of mine that can regas it for me, but I don't want to have to keep mucking about like that. Oh, that's interesting. If you can see that plastic bit there, just here, it's a Ducati. I've always wanted a Ducati, and now I've got a bit of one. Right, I'll be back to it when I've done this. Anyone that's cut anything like this off of a roof, you know what it's like trying to get rid of all that silicone. Absolute nightmare. So this is the bit of the job I'm not looking forward to, but we'll get on with it and be back shortly, hopefully. Right, I've had success with the silicone, or the removal of, or at least cutting this out. As you can see, I can lift it up now. I've got to go back on the roof to move it out the way. And it's really heavy. This end, it's just a fan, not a lot of weight there. But back here, and there's just the circuit board and bits. But back out there's the compressor and the motor. That end is really heavy. So that I think is, you know, it's maybe a bit heavy for the middle of the roof. I don't know where else you put it, but it's it is what it is. Just here, this is the rubber seal that comes with the air conditioner, and this blue silicone is what we used before, or what's in there before. And just above that, if I come right up and then move this, you might just be able to see there's a little bit of water up there because that seal sits in this groove, and I'm wondering whether it's just got sucked up around there and come over the top. Who knows? There's a couple of little holes where bolts go through. I'm going to silicone them up because they're not used, and just try and make sure that everything is sealed as much as I can, so that it can't or shouldn't get through the into the roof. It's just a bit, I don't know, I think maybe it should sit up a little bit or something. I'm not sure, but we go onto the roof and get on with the next bit. Little update where we are so far. I've decided to lift the machine up off the roof by putting a spacer in, and the reason being, we looked up that it's a Dometic 2200 air conditioner and it weighs 32 kilos, so that's why there's a bit of a sag in the roof now, that being up there bouncing around when you're going along. So what we've done, I've cut this out. Hang on a minute. I've got some ply. This is now about, there's an inch and a quarter thick. 2 pieces, glued and screwed together, and I've cut that out. That's the template at the bottom of the air conditioning unit, so it will look like it's part of it rather than looking like an underfly on the roof. It's drying off now. We've just soaked it in PVA and it's going to be painted white, and then that can be silicone and screwed to the roof, and then the air conditioning will fit over the top of that. Now this, obviously, this bit is where the bit goes down into the camera. This bit down, this is where all the heavy stuff is, so you can't just prop it up on here because it'll just break something. So the air conditioner actually going to rest on here, but what that's done now is given us that much lift off of the roof. So I think that's, oh, hello, there's Sid. Come on, say hello. Sid, say hello. Yes, hello. Oh dear, sit yourself on your teeth. Hello Coco. Hey. So there's an update, I've got the thumbnail, of where we're at. I'll show you on the roof when I put that up there in a minute. And just to make sure everything's lined up before we paint it. And it'll get painted and I'll probably fit that tomorrow. I shall screw that down to the roof. With a heap of silicone underneath it, all around the edges. I don't want to silicone the whole thing, because if ever I have to take it off, I'll never get a blade under that much. So as long as the water can't get under it, I think that's the way to go, because it's getting in through the air intakes at the side, which is a bit of a bad design. All these motorhomes should have a crown on the roof, like old caravans used to have. Rather than being flat, and I think it might be alright flat if you're not cutting all these holes in it for skylights and air conditioning and vents and all the rest of it, but 32 kilos sitting in the middle is ever such a lot of weight. So anyway, update later. Now we're going to give this a clean out. Any blue tits what are watching, your nest has gone, don't come back, is what I'm saying. Something else I've noticed, in here there's some little rubbers that hold this compressor, and the one on the other side has gone a bit peaked on. So I need to see if I can get one of those and put that in, but I can do that once it's back on. It's only a matter of taking the cover off. But yeah, it's getting there. Hello again. I've prepped the roof, I've cleaned it all down with thinners, and I've roughed up, I've drawn a pencil mark around the bit that's going on here, and I've keyed the surface with some 60 grit emery paper. So there's a good key there. Now the timber here, hang on, this is what I've cut out the shape. There's two pieces there, glued and screwed together, and that's about 30mm now. So then it's going to lift the air conditioner up 30mm away from this puddle that I'm getting. And I've got 30 screw holes in there. Now I'm only going to put a bead of silicone around the edge, so when I push it down it screws it out, and then I'm going to screw this to the roof with the silicone as well. And because if it doesn't work, if I cover the whole thing in silicone and stick it down, I'm never going to get it off again, and I'll be up Queer Street. So I'm going to, you'd have to say that. Hey? It's alright. You'll laugh when you hear it. So, get my trusty silicone gun. I'll lay this straight onto the roof, just inside of that pencil line. I'll get a nice bit of ooze. There might even be a thing from the factory, because we can't be the first people that have had this problem. Like I said earlier on, that's 32 kilos that unit. Which is an awful lot of weight. I wouldn't want to carry it too far. So it's get a good bead along in front of there as well. Another good bead along here. I I'll go through what I'm using here in a minute. I've been assured by the company that I've got this from that this will stick this down and it will not leak. And it's 700% elastic, so it stretches a lot, so it shouldn't give up with the movement going down the road. Now, I'll sit that on now. In fact, I don't think you can see that. If you look this side, just in here, this bit of timber is flat. If you can see that movement in there, that is where this bit of the roof has dipped down. So what I'm hoping is when I screw that down, it's going to pull that up nice and tight, and that'll take out some of the little drop that's in there. It's not much, I can do it with my hands, but water doesn't need an awful lot. So and then I'll put another bead all the way around the edge. So you've got a picture of my arm there. I'll put a bead all the way around the edge there, and obviously around this side once I'm done. Put that back there for a minute. Not mentioning any names with the screws, but I'm getting low on screws, so if they want to send me some more, good on them. What I'm going to do first is pre-drill them holes as well, because that's hard going in there. Back in a mo. Alright, as you can see now, there's a bit of dust blowing on the silicone, but I'm not bothered if it doesn't leak. And that's the template. There. And that's lifted, it's going to lift this box up by 30mm. And the roof feels a lot more rigid with that on it, even though this is only thin or narrow here. There's 30 screws holding it down and silicone, so I shouldn't get any water going underneath it. And then I'm going to put a bead of silicone right around the edge for when I sit the machine on, but just at the edge, so I can always get it off if need be. So no water should be able to get under the machine. Obviously the seal, this seal, that fits back in under the machine. What's going to fit around here, the original seal that came with it. So I'm going to silicone that into the groove it sits in, and then put silicone around the bottom. So when I put it on here, everything is just stuck to everything else, basically. So we'll see how it goes. Bit of a struggle with this. It's a bit heavy, but I'll do a quick shot when it's back on there. Right, this is where we're at. I'm going to pack up now, because if you look over there, the sun's gone down behind the mountain, and it looks good over there though. Look at it on that one there. See it? So I'm going to start cooling down now, so I might as well do the rest tomorrow. I was about to put the cover on over the top, just protect it for the night. But you can see now, if I turn this round, you can see here, that used to be on the floor, or on the floor, on this surface, and it's now 30mm higher. So any water I get round here now cannot go in. It's getting in through these grills and working its way in there somehow, I think. And then tomorrow I shall just silicone this so the water can't get in underneath that, even though it's silicone down now. And then I shall cover the timber all along here, give that a smear of silicone as well, so it'll all look good. So we shall see tomorrow. Well, we shall see the next time it rains. And I've got some other things up here to do, like re-silicone this that I've cut off on this checker plate for the the solar panel, and I've got this stupid thing to try and do something with. I think I might just leave that and buy a new one, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, folks, have a good evening, and we'll catch up again tomorrow. Just to finish this this video off. You never know, if this works, it might be good to someone. We cannot be the only people that this has happened to, with that amount of weight being on there. But screwing that board on, I clamped it through the hole first, and then screwed it down to the roof. And when I get up there now to work on this, the roof feels a lot more solid than it did before. So not only is it done, hopefully solve the problem of the water, but it has made that bit of roof more rigid. So hopefully, thumbs up, and it's going to work. If not, I don't know. Fill the hole in. See you tomorrow. Well, we've got to wait until it rains now. I'll show you what I've done here. That's now the air conditioning sitting up on its new thing. Oh, this looks a bit silicone-y, basically because I've covered that board. I didn't paint it in the end because that's just going to want to keep being done. So what I've done, I've smeared silicone over all of it. So it's completely sealed off, and it was PVA'd twice before it went up there. So hopefully now you can see the difference here. There's 30mm up. Now, if that water comes up there and gets in through there, we would have probably sunk in I don't know, in a big hole somewhere, so it wouldn't matter anyway. But the hopefully that's gonna, what's it, I'm gonna paint this at some stage because it's a bit ratty now, and they're a lot of money, those covers. So we'll flatten that off, give it a paint, and put a go faster stripe on it because the sticker's obviously gone now. And then I've sealed back round the fitting for the solar panel. I've re-siliconed down through this gap. I've re-siliconed round here. There was a plate on there. Well, I never knew what it was. I thought someone that maybe at some stage had something fitted through there. So I pulled it off earlier on, and there's a little tiny bit of damage to the surface. Not a lot. There's not a hole or anything there, but I'd obviously just decided to put a plate over the whole lot, which I trashed getting off. So I've put another plate on there now, which needs another coat of paint. But what's it? This I've re-siliconed, my favourite little vent, just for now until I can order another one and get that here. And then I shall change that, because to remove this you have to take all the cupboard bits inside, and there's 3 screws that go up into the top, into the roof, to be able to pull, not this piece but the inside piece, to pull out. So that's not worth doing, as I haven't got the new one here. But that's about where we're at.